In downtown Wheeling, West Virginia, there's a sandstone building that is one of the most consequential in American Civil War history, the West Virginia Independence Hall. Known as the birthplace of West Virginia, this structure witnessed dramatic debates, decisive votes, and political gambits that would reshape the map of the United States during its most fractured era. Today, it serves as a museum preserving the history of the state's birth and the artifacts of that tumultuous time and is absolutely free to visit. Aunt Shazy's favorite. Let me give you a little background. In the late 1850s, Wheeling was one of Virginia's fastest growing interior cities. Situated along the Ohio River, it was designated an inland port, and merchants could pay river duties here rather than in distant southern ports. To serve this role, the federal government commissioned a new custom house in Wheeling. Designed by prominent architect M.E.B. Young in an Italian Renaissance revival style, the building opened in 1859 at a cost of about $96,000. That's over $3 million today. It originally housed the Customs Service, the U.S. Post Office, and the Federal District Court, functions that made it a hub of commerce, law, and civic life. This building was innovative. It incorporated early use of wrought iron in its structure, a deliberate choice intended to make federal buildings more fireproof and support American industry. Though a fourth floor would be later added and then removed during restoration, today the hall's appearance closely matches its mid-19th century design. When the Civil War erupted in 1861, most of Virginia's political leadership embraced secession. But the western counties, with economic and cultural ties to Pennsylvania, Ohio, and other Union states, resisted. While Confederate forces quickly seized federal sites elsewhere, Wheeling's Custom House remained under Union control and became a gathering point for Unionist leaders. In May of 1861, delegates from the Northwest counties met here in what is known as the First Wheeling Convention. They challenged Virginia's secession vote and laid the groundwork for the Loyalist government. A second convention followed, creating the restored government of Virginia, which was recognized by the U.S. federal government as the legitimate government of the entire state of Virginia, a crucial step towards creating a new state loyal to the Union. The building also hosted the West Virginia Constitutional Convention in 1862-1863, where delegates drafted the framework for what would become the 35th state. From Governor Francis H. Pierpont's office here, often at his east-facing window, he composed urgent telegrams to President Abraham Lincoln, pushing for approval of separation and statehood. Lincoln signed the statehood bill on December 31, 1862, and West Virginia was formally admitted to the Union on June 20, 1863, the state's birthday, still celebrated every year. Contrary to belief, Independence Hall was not the permanent state capital. The legislature met in another Wheeling location, but it served as the seat of the restored government of Virginia until statehood. In the decades after the Civil War, the building passed into private ownership. It was used for various businesses, and additions such as the fourth floor were made. By the 1960s, however, preservationists and state leaders recognized its historical importance. In 1964, the state of West Virginia bought the property and restored it to something close to its Civil War-era appearance, using original plans from the National Archives. In 1979, the building opened as West Virginia's Independence Hall, a museum administered by the Departments of Arts, Culture, and History. It was designated a National Historic Landmark on June 20, 1988, on the very anniversary of the state's birthday. Today, West Virginia Independence Hall houses a rich collection of exhibits that bring the story of the statehood and the Civil War to life. One of the most striking artifacts we saw while we were there is a collection of original Civil War battle flags carried by West Virginian units. These flags, fragile and evocative, represent the men who fought in pivotal engagements and are among the most poignant reminders of the human cost of war. Pretty sure this is the area that I spent the most time in. That or the courthouse upstairs. It's a toss-up. The building also includes restored spaces such as the original post office, where citizens once conducted daily business and received mail, an ordinary room through which extraordinary history flowed. Here's a fun fact. Did you know the first bridge built across the Ohio River was in Wheeling? And at the time, it was the longest bridge in the world. It has Governor Pierpont's office, preserved to reflect the setting where critical decisions were made. And like I mentioned, the beautifully restored federal courtroom on the 3rd floor, where conventions met and debated the future. Walking through these spaces gives visitors a sense of the people who inhabited them: delegates, judges, federal officials, and ordinary citizens like you and me who are caught up in the whirlwind of history. But why does it matter? West Virginia's creation was unique in American history. Never before, nor since, has a new state been formed by separating from a Confederate state in rebellion. Independence Hall stands as physical testimony to that remarkable story of loyalty to the Union and local conviction against the rising tide of secession. Another really cool fact: on the night of September 4th, 1892, robbers hid inside the building after closing. They attempted to steal $1,250,000 in gold from the vault, but they were stopped by the iron bars in the vault wall. They were discouraged and left empty-handed, but what they didn't know was that if they had just tried the safe handle, they would have gotten in. It was broken at the time.